Yep, you read the thumbnail. I got caught slipping and it cost me thousands of points and miles. But I bet you that'll never happen again. Believe that. And in this video, I'll be going over the top 8 worst mistakes to make when redeeming your points and miles. I think I even dropped a bonus one in there somewhere. So keep an eye out. But before we get into all that, hi, I'm Lonnie, and I'm not perfect. And the travel game is not all sunshine and rainbows either. When it's good, it's great. But if you don't know all the terms and rules, it can be downright unforgiving. I haven't been able to achieve my level of travel hackery from doing absolutely everything right. I've made some errors, I can admit it. But with each error, I've been able to sharpen my travel blade. But you don't need to worry about that, because I got you. I've already learned from my mistakes, and I am here to share them with you so that you don't repeat any of them. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Let's kick this right off with the sneakiest way credit card companies save themselves money, and that's by redeeming your points for gift cards or Amazon purchases. If you decide you want to do this, and it's your points and your money, but you're pretty much guaranteed to be losing value on your points, as the redemption rate is almost always less than 1 cent per point value at which you earned it. In most cases, the redemption value here is 0.8 cents per point, but I've seen it as low as 0.6 cents, meaning you're losing at minimum 20% of your points value right off the bat.
Oh, hell no.
The reason why this happens is because when you redeem your points in this manner, you're essentially asking the credit card company to pay for your purchase for you. Because they already paid your value from your original purchase, for them to make a purchase on your behalf, they need and want to continue making a profit. They mask this as a convenience because you're not taking any money out of your pocket. But it's way more nefarious than that. Nefarious, good word use. Anyway. They can't take that money from the retailer or Amazon. Thus, they need to take it from you. Also, if you use a gift card to cover a purchase, then you're not putting that purchase on your credit card, preventing them from paying you more points. And lastly, if you made a purchase using that gift card because you didn't pay with your credit card, all of your purchase protections and insurances don't count. So if you lose those AirPods or your iPhone gets stolen or damaged, you're on your own. And I prefer that you don't let them do that to you. Cool? Speaking of that, not calculating your cent per point value is our second huge mistake. If you watched any of my previous videos, then you know I'm all about getting as many points as possible. But on the flip side of that coin, it's getting the most value as well. As we just discussed, the baseline value of your points is 1 cent per point. But because of all the various offers and transfer partners out there, nowadays, you could easily get more than that. Depending on how you redeem your points, you can get 2 cents per point or even more, which further increases their value. Let me show you how you can do that. Say you want to book a flight. You first need to know the cash cost for the flight and the taxes associated. For this example, we'll say it's $750 and $10 in taxes. Next, how many points are needed for the same flight? Which I'll say is 35,000 points. To calculate the value, you take the total cost of the flight minus the taxes, as no one gets to escape taxes, then divide that by the total amount of points or miles. In this case, we end up with the value of 0.02 or 2 cents per point. Now, outside of just getting a great deal, here are 2 more examples to ensure you get more than the standard 1 cent per point value. One would be using your Chase points to book through the Chase travel portal. If you have a Sapphire Preferred, you get a guaranteed 1.25 cents per point. And if you have a Sapphire Reserve, you're guaranteed 1.5 cents per point. This would ensure you get more than a 1 cent value no matter when or how you book. There are some perks to this, but if you want to get the most value from your points, then I recommend waiting for a transfer bonus offer, which is when a card account will provide additional points when you transfer out to a specific partner. This happens a few times a year across many partners, but using the 35,000 point example, if there was a 50% transfer bonus, then you would only need to transfer 23,500 points. After the boost, you've received 35,250 in your account to book said flight. But being that you only used 23,500 points, your cent per point value jumps to 3 cents per point, instantly increasing your value. But this can have a dark side too, which takes us to the next potential mistake. And that's not hitting that subscribe button. No, for real. I'm dropping gems on this channel, and subscribing will ensure you don't miss out. If you agree, hit that like button. Okay? Now, for the real next mistake. Transferring your points to a partner before you're ready to book. This is bad because once you move your points from your account, they're gone. It's a one-way street. So if you transfer them by mistake or to the wrong partner, not to say that I've done that before, that's it. Game over. You can't get those points back. And for the most part, the transfer happens instantly. And there is no cancel transfer button. So make sure you're ready to book when transferring and double, triple check that the award flight or hotel room you won is still available. Oh, that reminds me. Here's an incredibly costly bonus mistake, and that's thinking all points are created equal. They are not. Miles and points all have different values and limitations to where and how you can use them. For example, 100,000 United miles is not one-to-one equal to 100,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points. For one, United miles can only be used through United's travel portal, whereas Chase points are way more flexible. They aren't locked specifically to Chase, and don't even get me started on Hilton Honor points. We don't have enough time for it today. But if you want to keep up with it all, I like to use the Points Guy's monthly points valuations. I'll link it in the description. Now, no matter if you transfer points or earn them the old-fashioned way by taking a flight or staying at a hotel, the number 4 mistake to avoid is letting your points and miles just sit there. You've heard me say this before, but your points and miles are not worth anything until you redeem them. With that said, who determines the value of those points and miles? The company that they sit with. I'm not referring to Chase and Amex points in your credit card account. I'm talking about the points or miles that are in your partner accounts like United, Delta, Hyatt, etc. Meaning they can change the value whenever they feel. And spoiler alert, they very rarely ever increase the value of them. When companies change the value not to your advantage, this is called devaluing or a devaluation. And it causes the number of points or miles needed to book that flight or room to go up. Jumping back to our flight example from 2 minutes ago, that was 35,000 points to book, but now, because of devaluing, it's going to cost us 37,500 points instead. Make sense? The problem that this creates is that you earn those points and miles at a higher rate than when you get to redeem them. Think of the stock market. You want your points to go up in value, not down. But that does not happen when they just sit there. If you're saving them for a trip, I get that. Valid reason. But outside of that, don't just let them sit there and get stale. Okay, that takes me to my next point. In a similar vein is letting your points expire. Yes, some points can expire after a certain amount of time of inactivity. You worked very hard for those points, so I'm gonna do you a solid and tell you which partners where your points have an expiration date. Ready? After 36 months of inactivity, British Airways and Singapore KrisFlyer. After 24 months of inactivity, American Airlines, Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt. And after only 12 months of inactivity, IHG. Now, don't freak out. You heard me say inactivity. To keep your points alive and well, your account just needs to have some type of activity on it within the allotted amount of time. You can do this by booking a flight or stay with the airline or hotel partner, or transferring points from your credit card to said partner, which is not a bad option as you normally only have to transfer 1,000 points at minimum, which costs you nothing. And as long as you still use those points, you're not losing out. I personally like to use promotional means such as American Airlines shopping portal. As you may be aware, American is not my go-to airline, but I do have miles with them from previous flights. So when my points are about to expire with American, I use their shopping portal to buy candy or bottles of iced tea from CVS for like $4, just to keep my miles from expiring, as having miles added from the shopping portal counts as activity as well. Lastly, in most cases, if you have that airline or hotel's credit card, like the American Advantage card, that'll keep your points and miles from expiring too. So you have plenty of options. Moving on to error number 6, not taking advantage of transfer bonus offers. If I were to say, give me a $10 bill, and in return, I'm gonna give you $15 back, would you take it? This is essentially how transfer bonuses work. There are these select promotional periods where when you transfer points out from your credit card to a partner, you'll receive an additional boost like a 50% bonus. An example of how this would look is to transfer 1,000 points from your credit card but get 1,500 points in your partner account. This can significantly help you increase your cent per point value, as ultimately you're using fewer points to book. This will also assist you when a partner devalues points, as I mentioned earlier. The reason why this is so important is because once you start planning a trip and are committed to it, you're probably going to use points to reduce your travel costs. And the less points you need to use, the more you can save or use to upgrade yourself. Instead of economy, fly business class. Instead of a studio room, get that ocean view suite. Treat yourself a little bit. For my next mistake, it's no surprise for me to say that things within the travel industry change all the time. So not having a plan B in place for these instances can either cost you or just be highly annoying. I've already spoken about how companies can devalue points, but what do you do when your plan A airline itinerary has 2 flight connections? Or the hotel you're really interested in staying at is fully booked or outside of your budget?
I just die if you don't take me, please!
This is where being prepared for secondary options, or more importantly, diversifying your points, comes into play. Let's say you found that perfect flight, but you're about 10,000 miles short. If you had those points on a second card to pull from, you'd be able to transfer that excess to your account to complete your booking. A lot of cards have overlapping transfer partners. For example, I can transfer points to United from both my Chase and my Bilt card. Or say your go-to partners are split across 2 different card brands, such as you book your flights with Capital One miles and your hotels with Amex points. Look, there's no wrong way to book travel as long as you're happy in the end. But by diversifying your points, you also, in turn, diversify your options as well. That's all I'm saying. And lastly, at number 8 is plan ahead. Plan ahead. Plan ahead. To quote Howard Hawks, fortune favors the prepared. And that could not be more true within the travel game. You want to get the best price, right? Well, good promotional award redemptions are not uncommon, but you'll most likely see them during the parts of the year when travel or traffic is low, or on a day of the week when traffic or travel is low. You see this most often with standard hotel pricing. Sunday through Thursday is usually cheaper than Friday and Saturday nights for this exact reason. By being flexible, you may be able to score a flight or hotel room for significantly fewer points if you can fly on a Tuesday than you would if you attempted to fly that same flight on a Saturday, especially if you're flying through a high traffic airport. I see this often at SFO on Sundays and Mondays, as so many tech workers usually have business flights and travel at this time. Not only does this raise the price of a ticket, but it also makes it harder to book business class, as these workers take all those seats with their company cards. Okay, real life example of how planning ahead has saved my butt. Story time. I booked a hotel like 10 plus months out in advance at a time of the year when travel is low, which just so happens to be around my birthday. Not that that's important. I got a very decent rate. Then this pop star, someone named Taylor Swift.
Welcome to the Eras Tour!
Maybe you heard of her? I don't know. Announces her tour dates, which just so happened to be on the night that I'm staying in said city. At the hotel next to the venue, the cost of hotels in the city that night shot up like 10,000%. Yes, I'm exaggerating, but because I planned early and was flexible, I already locked in my room and rate. Now, I did have 1 million people in the hotel, but that wasn't bad as I wasn't near the elevators or the lobby. My point is, plan ahead. Can't stress that enough. Anyway, learn from my mistakes and please don't make any of them yourself. And to ensure that, keep the party going with one of these videos and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, peace.